Hello and welcome to the Young Entrepreneurs Syndicate podcast. Rod Kuntz, how you doing today?
Doing wonderful, Jim. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Was able to get out early this morning and help somebody that's newly elected to school board, walked them through the ins and outs of that and what to expect and how to grow in the position. So it was rewarding. I love getting out and helping people.
That's awesome. You know, it's nice to have a mentor, especially if people haven't sat on a board before. It can be intimidating, overwhelming, and they just need to know that you just get in the process and you'll pick a lot of it up by osmosis, just being there and paying attention and all that stuff. But to have somebody walk you through, that's great. Good for you for reaching out and helping them.
You know, Rod, it's just like what we do at the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. You know, we're here to offer support and help in business and in life, decisions that you might encounter along the way based on our years and years of experience.
Right.
You know, it's no different. It's amazing how much fear people have of the unknown, and holding a board position feels very unknown to people, although it's really pretty basic when you get down to it. And I'm sure you can relate this back to what we do at Young Entrepreneurs. You know, the first thing I said is be patient, and those who know the rules wins the game, literally. And what I mean by that is if you're on a board, get Robert's Rules of Order. That's how boards run. And if you understand how a board runs, you've accomplished half the battle, because most people on a board do not know how they run. And then the second thing, and I'll just use school boards as an example, is understand the governing authority and the laws of being on a school board and what that looks like. And how we relate that back to business is there's been some incredible business books, manuals, whatever you want to call them, written over the last 100 years, you know, going back as early as Napoleon Hill and some of those others, all resource materials. Know the rules of the game and you will win at it. It's not that hard. It's all there.
Absolutely. And, you know, the other thing is you can be a very successful business person. Let's take Steve Jobs just for a quick example. Mm-hmm. He was ousted by his board.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, a board can become very powerful if you don't know what you're doing and how to set that up and how to operate within the structure of a board. It can be your undoing. Yeah. Right. They can fire you, but they can also rehire you in his case. But you need to understand the rules of the game, like you said.
Well, you know, this morning I had two individuals actually I was with that are on the board. It was a shortcut for them to sit down with me and understand, like, hey, here's the path to be good at your job in your role as an elected official. And that is exactly what we do at Young Entrepreneur Syndicate, is that it is a shortcut to understand the ins and outs, idiosyncrasies of business by utilizing my background, your background, Rod, Rachel's background, as well as our community of people that are on the community platform we have. Is these are shortcuts to get you further down the path and hopefully avoid making some mistakes, you know, but the work is still the same and the information is still out there if you want to get it. I mean, if you think about our site alone, we've got we call it a library of books that we recommend. And that's between books I've read, books you've read, Rod, some great ones, and some books that Rachel's read. I mean, it's all there. You can buy a book and read it, or you can become a member and shortcut some of that through our experiences, or you can just go at it alone. Take the path you choose, but we're here to help you, you know?
Absolutely. And it feels good to help.
For sure. I love it. I love it.
Asking for help is a great life hack. It's a shortcut.
You had mentioned in passing that you had a conversation with one of our members, or you were starting to say, and we don't need to go into the details of that, but this particular member had new direction for his company that he brought up on this week's call. And I love that he brought it up amongst all of our other members, because they get to hear the answer. And that's where the value is. That's where the shortcut's at. That's where the assurance comes from and the support. And, you know, this individual, he starts fine tuning his business. And I even brought it up on the call, as you probably remember, is I said, I love that you're drilling into more of a rifle approach for your business as opposed to that shotgun approach, because I can see the path and where you're heading right now. It's crystal clear. And I think that he sees some of that too. So I'm glad you guys connected on the phone.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I think the neat thing about that, and I'll share this with you as well. When I was on the phone with him, I told him, I said, you know, what I like about this is I am so excited for what you're doing. I said, you have no idea. I said, I was up last night thinking of ideas, other approaches you can do, how I could help you, really get that laser focus on here. And we spent, I figured it'd be a 15-minute phone call. It was probably 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And he got some great value, some new ideas. And again, now it's back to the drawing board, because any idea is just an idea unless you put it to paper. But it made me excited to be able to see what his new vision was. It excites me that, we got to blow on that spark a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And while we're talking about some spark and some members, before I get to today's topic, I already used the topic word once in this call. So, I just want to celebrate a couple successes that are in our group. We have Church and State Designs. You can go to Church and State Designs on Instagram and find Taylor's apparel line. And, she does a clutch for women, that concealed carry clutch and different types of purses. Great job for Taylor. You can go to Back Porch Brands, a marketing company that Samantha has started. You can also go to stand_for_it_podcast, Stand For It Podcast, which is another member who launched a podcast with apparel. And we've got the Young Blood Standard, who's going to be doing some coaching. So, and we have so many more. Those are they were at my fingertips. So I'm highlighting them right now, and we'll get to the others, guys. Sorry if I didn't call you out, but I'm just so proud with what some of these members are doing and, the trajectory they're on for their businesses, and to be able to have a front row seat to that, Rod, it's been very rewarding. And I'm glad that we're playing a role in that. And if you're looking to elevate your business or become a better entrepreneur, or whatever that looks like, we'd love to have you in the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate.
I can't stress that enough, that it's so fun to be on the front row of the new visions and watching these people develop their businesses. I mean, there's a multifaceted approach there. The business develops, but the personal development, to me, is even more important. Seeing how they think differently, how they ask questions, they lean in to get the help that they need. And it just, that collective, the collaboration that happens is truly phenomenal. And I'm going to switch gears real quick, but it's related. Watching our students, when we're teaching in class, I mentioned to them yesterday, Jim, it was really neat because we had all of them there. And I told them, I said, I'm so proud of you, and you need to be proud of yourselves. This is a win for you. I said, do you realize that probably 98% of the people in this country have never looked at, or much less written, a business plan? I said, here you are. You have accomplished. You've written executive summaries. You've done evaluations. You've done one sheets. You've done full presentations and elevator pitches, and you've written a business plan, a viable business plan. I said, 98% of Americans have never even seen one. And you've done that already. And here you are in high school. What an incredible accomplishment for them. And everyone can do that, should do that.
Well, and as you're aware, our Entrepreneur Syndicate, we also help people work through their business plan, and they could be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, doing one for the first time.
Right. And not just a business plan, Jim, personal business plans for your relationships, for your family, right? Yeah. Mission statements that help you focus in on what you're doing with your life. Sorry for that. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm thinking about it as well. The cool part about these students wrapping up the year with their business plan is that we've spent the entire year talking about not only the hard skills of business, but the soft skills, which are the important part when you look at employee retention, growth, success, fostering relationships, and that list goes on of soft skills that aren't often taught, that we were able to teach them as well. So not only did they finish the year with a business plan, but they learned a whole lot along the way.
Right. And we've been playing with that soft skill thing, and I know you've talked about it as the essential skills,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a student, I haven't even shared this with you. Last week, I had them write out what was different about our class compared to other classes. And I knew you'd asked this question of them before, but I phrased it in a different way to try and get a different response, a deeper response. And one of the students talking about soft skills said it was the intangible skills that they learned in class.
Wow.
And so a soft skill, I mean, he translated that it's not the book learning, it's the intangible, it's that personal relationship building and all that goes with that. It's you can't measure that by doing a true false test or a multiple choice test, the standardized test that education offers. You don't get to do those skills. You can't test them that way. Mm-hmm. So what a great insight from a student. It's the intangible skills they learned in that class, what people get to learn with us, with young entrepreneurs.
Good point. I love hearing that. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I think that oftentimes we can look for those intangible experiences and lessons in life will be better for it. And that is my opener for the topic for the day.
All right, let's get to it.
The topic for the day, and this is relevant, is patience. Patience. When I sat down with the two people today for school board, and they said, well, what can we do? How do we make a difference? How do we do our jobs better? And this also goes along with the students. How do we get out there in the workforce? There's a lot of patience that needs to be applied in doing a variety of jobs and tasks, as well as being in business. And, as entrepreneurs, we want it all now. Like, we're motivated, we're inspired, we're hardworking, we're putting in the hours. And even if we're putting in the 12 hours a day, we still have to understand that patience is an important equation in everything that we do. I was going back and forth with somebody that I'm loosely in business with, actually brought a number of assets his way so that he can be successful. And, he feels like he's done so much in 24 to 36 months. I said, yeah, you have, but it's a long road ahead, and it's going to require patience. And the reason why I'm making that today's topic is because I want it to be a reminder for people that to do something right, to be successful in it, to find, long-term success and foundation, it's going to require the patience that goes along with that. And I often tell this story, not necessarily a story, but some facts around brands like Kettle One Vodka that I was the vice president of for 10 years in our marketing department, Tito's Vodka that people felt like, oh, that came out of nowhere a couple years. Both those companies are worldwide leaders in a segment that was saturated at the time of them launching. And both of those companies had the same revelation from their consumers, like, wow, they came out of nowhere and here they are a success. Well, the balance of the story is Kettle One Vodka started in 1691. That was 1691. They were over 315 years old when I started there. And we pushed through another 10 years and finally got some good public recognition. Ultimately, it was valued at over $1 billion, selling 3 million cases of vodka a year. So they finally made it, but it wasn't an overnight success. Right. It was literally 10 years of hard work before people started recognizing the brand. Tito's, which is now the largest vodka company in the world, was already around for 15 years before people started going, oh my gosh, Tito's just came out of nowhere. They're everywhere now. No, he'd just been really patient, continued to do the work, was passionate about it, followed his business plan, and kept making a great product. And yes, now they are everywhere, but it wasn't out of nowhere. It required the patience. And I just want that to be a reminder for everybody.
It's a great reminder, Jim. And so many things came to mind when you're talking about patience. So that's the word, right? That's our topic, patience. I love the word patience, and I like because, well, a couple of reasons. Number one, it's one word instead of two, because the word I usually use is delayed gratification. Mm-hmm. Delayed gratification is the same thing as patience. And what it means is you have to wait to get gratified. You don't get gratified right away. Although I think that in the process, if you're not finding gratification in what you're doing, you're missing something, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the goal attainment that should be gratifying. It should be the process of getting to that goal. It should also be gratifying. Love what you do, or fall in love with what you do. At least embrace it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And the flip side of that coin, though, and we hear a lot of that in this day and age, the flip side of that patience and understanding that you have to wait is entitlement. And wanting something right now without the wait and feeling like you're entitled to that. No one's entitled to that without going through the process, without doing the work, without going through the trials, the tribulation. And I actually did a quick lesson on this yesterday. I touched on it briefly. The best way to learn those lessons is to spend more time outside.
Yeah.
You learn that the way nature works is a slow process. It doesn't happen quickly. From the prepping the soil to sowing to, weeding and tilling and watering, irrigating. And then you get to that harvest stage. And even the harvest stage is just more work, and a lot more work than all the rest was typically.
Yeah.
And then you get the product, and then you get to process the product, which is where, the money starts changing hands. And it's all work, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like a sale. Farmers and ranchers, and I really relish the chances that I had to work for farmers and ranchers when I was young.
Yeah.
Because I got to watch that up close. I got to participate in that. And they're hard. You're a rancher now. You understand.
Yeah.
You're up close and personal with nature. And nature is the best teacher we have. It truly is. It is designed for survival, and it's designed for beauty, and it's designed for productivity and, to keep everything moving and functioning. And we can learn a lot, but if we just stay indoors all the time, we're missing out on some vital lessons about patience and delayed gratification.
What a great point. I got baby chickens in the bathroom next to my office. Speaking of patience, right? So, my wife incubates, and so we have chickens from our roost here. And people, oh, you have chickens? Do you have eggs? Well, yeah, it's going to require some patience. Like, we got to incubate for 22 days, and then we've got to raise them in the bathroom for a month, and then they're big enough to go outside in a safe environment. But then it could take up to 6 months before they lay their first egg. These things take time, and then the rewards come. And what that requires is feeding them and loving them and caring for them every single day and giving them all the tools they need to be productive egg layers. Like you said, it's just a beautiful thing. And by the way, they're a lot of fun. The kids love them. But nature's a great teacher if we spent more time in it. And it's one of the things I love about Montana, because we do have the opportunity to be out in nature around these elements a little bit more. I'm sorry if you live in a city, but go try to find something that emulates what you'll get in nature, or just take the time to go up, to your local mountains and watch the seasons change up there, or the rivers fill from the snow melt, or the rivers drop because it's late summer, whatever that looks like. But look at what nature does as an example, and realize that patience is required of all of us to have that real, genuine, deep success that we're after. I can't help but think about all the people that jump on these diet trains. They want to lose weight overnight, and there's always this quick way to fix it. Well, I happen to be working around a lot of athletes in the last couple of months through my work at Flag Nor Fail and my wife's work over there. These athletes didn't become what they are overnight. I mean, the physique that they have required years of hard work. And that hard work's not just in the gym, as most people, well, if you know how it works, that hard work happens in the kitchen.
Yes.
It doesn't happen in the gym. And, I look at these fad diets go through, and it's like, that's unfortunate that people have succumbed to these quick fixes And when I say succumbed, not only their hopes and dreams they've put into these quick fixes, but their financial investment into these quick fixes. And it's just a really black and white way to look at how trying to shortcut the process never works, especially not in the long run or as a foundational element. When somebody does a quick diet fix, they might lose the 10 pounds they wanted, but I guarantee you they haven't created positive habits where they don't put that weight back on within 6 months or less.
And sometimes it comes back with more
vengeance. That's right.
With more.
So, this goes back to business. There's no quick fix. There's help. There's solutions, there's advice. You still have to put in the work and be patient with it,
Well, I've said this before on this podcast. If not, I've said it to our members. The definition of a shortcut is the longest distance between 2 points. Because what we think is a shortcut usually detracts us and takes us away from, just that long-term growth prospect. And we get sidetracked, and in business especially, that can happen. And we have to stay focused, which is why we need goals, which is why we need a plan, which is why we need accountability partners, which is why we need coaching and mentors and community. And that's how we get to that next level. And we need someone to slow us down sometimes. My dad's advice to me, it wasn't even advice, it was admonishment. My dad constantly was on me about being in too much of a hurry, constantly telling me to slow down. And he was a not only in construction, but he was a finish carpenter. So he really attention to detail and doing it slowly and making sure everything was perfect. And that's not my nature.
Yeah, mine either.
It's just not. It's like, get in, hit the throttle and let's go and hope the brakes work. And it's a flaw. I have had to battle it. It's one of those natural tendencies for me. But to be successful, I had to start slowing down. I needed to, rewire myself. And we all can do that, but doing it alone is difficult.
It's interesting you use that word slowing it down, or those words slowing it down. I experienced that last night with my daughter. She wanted to ride her horse. Now, we're post-winter here, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. Winter just ended. That means the horses have not been worked at all. And we had our horse down the road at the trainer for the last month to start getting worked. And now they got to put muscle back on and also muscle memory, in their heads, like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's time to go back to work. And my daughter has done some groundwork with the horse. That means walking him, getting him to obey out of the saddle. And she's ridden him twice, but just the basics. So yesterday she did the basics. We did the groundwork. We did the basic stuff in the pen. And she said, well, I want to, gallop and trot and lope and all these things out in the front pasture. And my wife, she's like, no, we're not ready for that. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll walk out there with you and I'll just keep an eye on things. Well, here's the point. He did not want to do the work. He did not want to do what she wanted to do. He wanted to stay in the pen and where, he could be fat and happy, and he was okay doing the easy stuff. Right. And she immediately lost her patience. She shed a few tears. He's not listening to me. Well, the reality is that there's a few more steps, a few more lessons, a few more hours in the pen doing the basics to get to where you were last year before winter hit. Right. And, at all ages, we learn those lessons of what it takes to be patient, to slow down, to go back to the basics. And that's really what she needs to do, is just do the basics a little bit more. And he will understand, like, oh yeah, I did this last year. I need to listen. We can go lope next week. So anyways.
What a great story.
Well, it's just like you said, it's being outside, being in nature, and understanding the dynamics and how important the basics are, and being patient with it,
Exactly.
in everything that we do.
Exactly. And look for those moments. They're reminders around us all the time.
Yep.
So make sure you're picking up on those things. If you're not picking up on those things, you're probably in too much of a hurry.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to wrap with that, Rod. I think the reminder of having patience and a few live examples from our lives is important. A good reminder. Any closing thoughts?
No, I think that'll wrap it today, Jim. We'll let everyone off easy. I will say though, we've been kind of remiss. People know us as business coaches and consultants and business owners, entrepreneurs, and all that. But we're not telling people that we also have this other side business, you and I, that we're also public speakers. So if you need a keynote speaker for a group or an organization, and you know that your people could benefit from some of the wisdom and insights that we have, well, this is laid back compared to what we can do in real life in front of people on a stage and a microphone in our hands. So
I love it.
Look each of us up.
Good reminder. My topic this year is on leadership and having the grit to do the hard things. So thanks for that reminder, Rod. I appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. And mine is transformation.
I love it. All right. Well, that's our show. If you like what you've heard, please share the show. If you are interested in the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate, go to the website, youngentrepreneurssyndicate.com, or you can find us on Instagram under the same handle. We'd love to hear from you. We can tell you all about our coaching, but I will tell you up front, we meet every Monday night, 6 p.m. Montana Standard Time for a Zoom call. It's typically a 20-minute curriculum with a robust Q&A for everybody to get their questions out in front of not only the group, but in front of us, and so we can bring advice. Rod brings a wealth of entrepreneurial knowledge as well as I do. And then Rachel is our marketing expert, and she is an expert, the owner of one of the top marketing agencies in Southern California. So we're proud to have her as a partner, and we'd love to hear from you. Rod, we'll do this again next week.
I look forward to it, Jim. Thanks.
Right on. Thank you.